Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. Caroli Omondi today made an announcement. And that announcement on behalf of Linda Mwananchi has actually shocked Kalonzo Musyoka and Fred Okengo Matiangi.
I think we need to be very clear on this.
Okay.
Yes. We will have our own party as Linda Mwananchi. And we will nominate, and we will nominate Edwin Sifuna as the presidential candidate of our party.
That's clear.
That is clear.
Okay.
And for me, that announcement by Caroli Omondi is significant politically speaking for 2 or 3 main reasons. Number one, Caroli Omondi is the official spokesperson for Linda Mwananchi.
And people may ask, so what is Linda Mwananchi going to be anchored on in terms of ideology? Linda Mwananchi is anchored on something we call social market democracy.
Which means in his capacity, Caroli Omondi can't just wake up, go to a studio and make statements without considering the entire implication on the larger opposition unity. So which means he wanted to deliver that message, which he did. The second reason why it's significant is because Caroli Omondi is one of the main funders. Apart from Uhuru, the other, almost the second largest funder of Linda Mwananchi is Caroli Omondi. So he cannot just speak without knowing what he is talking about. And of course, you can also claim that Caroli Omondi is also one of the main political leaders from Nyanza region who are part and parcel of Linda Mwananchi. And therefore, his statement is significant. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at that statement by Caroli Omondi and what next for Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and Fred Okengo Matiangi. But let us ask ourselves some 2 important questions before we proceed. What was Caroli Omondi trying to communicate? Is he telling these other guys that as Linda Mwananchi, we will go alone? We don't need anybody. And the second question, which is very important, by the way, and maybe you can help me understand it. Can Linda Mwananchi defeat William Ruto in 2027, the way they are, without the support of either Kalonzo or the support of Fred Okengo Matiangi? Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why Caroli made that statement. Before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, take a second or 2, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Ladies and gentlemen, the main objective of this video is to look at what next for Matiangi and Kalonzo after that declaration by Caroli Omondi. But first of all, let us try to understand why going alone is almost the only way out for Linda Mwananchi. Number one, Kenyans are telling them that they need fresh start. The moment you bring Kalonzo and Matiangi into this team, that will be diluted.
Political parties have failed us because even though they have this money, the political parties don't vet who comes, most of them. A few try here and there, but we don't have that strong vetting. As Linda Mwananchi, there are a lot of people, we just see they've printed posters, they've joined Linda Mwananchi, they come to rallies, yes, claiming, okay, we will run on Linda Mwananchi. Of course, we can't stop them. It is their democratic right. But for us, we are very careful. Yeah, you see, even the people we put forward in our podiums. Yeah, I mean, you must see, even we are struggling, even, we are still short of ladies. You can clearly see that. Yeah. But the few we have are quality. Yeah, Faith Odhiambo is as they are type of politicians we don't want, to be honest. Okay. Because Kenyans, it's the wrong presentation, especially to young people. And they have told us, this country, there's something, you have slay queens and slay kings. Okay. You know them, eh? To them, politics is entertainment and jokes, yes, and lifestyle. Those are the people we don't want, to be honest. They can be supporters, you can do anything. But to put you in leadership, we will do as much as we can to have a good vetting process. But we hope the electorate will support us, because there they have the final say. I remember one time somebody, I will not mention, there was a by-election, and he went to the late Raila's house one morning, saying he wants to be our candidate in that by-election. And he was very popular. We were wondering, where did this guy come from? So when Raila asked me, do you know this guy? I said, but he looks like the person we were being told is involved in a lot of fraudulent activities. But he went ahead and won, that guy. We rejected him, but he went and won. Yeah. Yeah.
So to be cautious about that.
Which means they will not be able to run on that platform. Number two, Linda Mwananchi is being spearheaded by young people. Mostly. Apart from Orengo, most of them are young people. So it kind of represents the generational change politics. So bringing Kalonzo, Rigathi, and Matiangi will dilute that. And of course, there's something which is going to happen to Linda Mwananchi. If they were to embrace Kalonzo, or they embrace Matiangi, or embrace Rigathi Gachagua, there are those supporters of them who will leave them. For example, Linda Mwananchi enjoys a lot of support from Blue Nyanza. But the moment Rigathi will be in the picture, a lot of them will pull out. So I think they are trying to avoid those. But what next? Because from that announcement, it is clear that these guys are going to go alone. So what next? Kalonzo and Matiangi can decide now to proceed without Linda Mwananchi. So which means both of them politically must agree to work together. Because if they won't work together, they'll go nowhere. Kalonzo alone cannot defeat Ruto. Matiangi alone cannot defeat Ruto as long as Linda Mwananchi is there. So which means they have now to agree, one of them to be presidential candidate and another running mate. Let's say they agree that Matiangi is the running mate, Kalonzo is the presidential candidate. Or maybe Matiangi is the presidential candidate, Kalonzo is the running mate. They have to agree. If they were to agree, then they pray that their team will get the endorsement of Rigathi. If they get the endorsement of Rigathi Gachagua, they're going to have an advantage because the mountain will easily vote for them. Kalonzo is sure of Kambani and Matiangi is sure of Kisii. If you total up those numbers, then it would mean they'll just need a goodwill from the rest of the country. Because Kalonzo, I know, will enjoy a bit of support also from the coastal region. If he's a presidential candidate supported by Rigathi. Of course, they'll also be able to control places like Nairobi. So at the end of the day, through Jubilee, Fred Matiang'i will have a few MPs in Nairobi. In fact, if that were to happen, even some Luo leaders would run on Jubilee, especially in those cosmopolitan cities like Mombasa, Nairobi, and of course they'll be able to lock them. So that's very important. So they can form a team with a focus on winning the support of the mountain. They can also decide to go their separate ways. So that Kalonzo runs, Matiang'i runs, then Linda Mwananchi runs. In fact, at some point, most people were like, if the opposition were to front single candidate, then Ruto might squeeze in the 50% plus one. But if several of them were to contest, then it will solve them a lot of problems. Number one, none of them will meet the 50% plus one threshold. Number two, each one of them will try as much as possible to get as many votes as possible, as many MPs, as many senators. So which means they'll go outside there for real campaign. Then focus now on post-election agreement. So that if, for example, Ruto is number one and Kalonzo number two, then now they can enter into post-election violence. Post-election agreement. And most people believe that that's the only way to defeat Ruto. But the fear is, if Ruto were to go into a rerun, most of these people will be bought. So they can decide to go separate ways. But for me, that's very risky for them. The best strategy for them is to ensure Linda Mwananchi not for Kenya, Wiper, and Jubilee of Matiang'i, all of them front a single candidate. But they can go for that. Importantly, they can concentrate on their alliance, as we speak. Because right now, we have the united opposition, led by Rigathi. It has Wamalwa. It has all those other guys. And then now Sifuna is coming now as a third force. They should treat Sifuna and the group as a third force. And of course, you also know William Ruto is constant there. So that they can face William Ruto through that kind of arrangement. Because if they were to go separate ways, will not work for them, might not. Because for them to defeat Ruto, the only situation where these guys can defeat Ruto is if they agree to front a single candidate. And that candidate must have the support of the entire country. And importantly, I think it's also important for someone like Kalonzo to actually confront President Ruto or President Uhuru Kenyatta. Because I believe Matiangi would not be a presidential candidate were it not for Uhuru Kenyatta. Rumors on the ground is that Uhuru is also supporting this other camp. So it's therefore important for them to confront Uhuru so that Uhuru can give direction. Because if Uhuru is the guy with the money and he's been trying to work with these guys, it's not working, he better tell them to join this other camp. And I also think that the other option, which most of them would actually do in case of runoff, is to join William Ruto. In fact, I was joking to someone that if there's one bright politician in Kenya, that guy is Babu Owino. Babu Owino knows that it's not easy to defeat Ruto in 2027. And because of that, he made it very clear that he's not going to run for the presidency. Because if Babu had contested today for the presidency, I'm sure the entire Luo nation probably would be behind him. But he's not doing that because he knows that Ruto is going to be re-elected. So if Ruto is re-elected, it would be easy for them to succeed because Ruto will not seek a third term. But if Sifuna is elected, what happens? They'll have to wait for 10 years. Because the history of this country is that once someone sits in office, it's not easy to remove them. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think Caroli Omondi's statement was wise or it was a goof? Let me read your comments below. Until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.